Hello, you guessed it, it's Nick Dutch back on the camera again one more time. Hi there, how the heck's it going? We're almost there, okay? We're almost at the point whereby I can stop just shooting off a video between calls and uploading it straight away and just leaving it like that, and I'll be able to get back to cooler editing. I'll get back to QuickTime and start doing like those groovy takeout shots which you've seen on my invocation of Santa Claus type video which I did a little while ago for Christmas, and things are going to start being basically nice, soft and fluffy all over again. These days I find it very difficult to promise basically what I'm going to do. That feels a bit difficult for me. Now, the reason that it feels a bit difficult is because I don't want to promise something and then basically not deliver it. I want to make sure that I'm actually delivering what I'm promising, basically. But I'm going to do that anyway, just to make life harder for myself. So I'm promising you better editing, I'm promising you slightly better subjects, I'm promising you something more in-depth. I also feel that it's much more worthwhile having people who are standing in the middle ground of the alleged debates between atheists and theists, and trying to find some common ground and some common denominators between the two. And I suppose I see part of my role as to try and is it creating an identity or an ideology that's halfway between the two? I'm not sure. But it's creating something in the middle ground, which essentially is important. Because even if you are a strong anti-theist, you must realize that humans have needs. And essentially one of the things which have always provided those needs, historically speaking, is in fact religion. I mean, in an ideal world, by my estimation, some of the best psychologists and psychiatrists of every single nation would get together with the religious leaders within each and every single nation and would say, look, you've got a great quantity of influence here. One thing that's really important is the maintenance of human sanity and repair of human sanity for those who've actually had a few problems. Why don't you try and sell your religion as being something which could provide certain forms of benefits for people so that they can get over any particular issues, they can essentially do the things which religion is there to do, namely to help people and not to drive them insane. I mean, if you just take a look at Christianity and the way it is, there's a massive political and psychological spectrum within Christianity. On one side of things, you've got people who believe in personal progress and growing up and seeking progress and not perfection. And on the other side of things, you've got like TikTok ministries, which is a YouTube channel. And what they do is they just like scream and shout and rant and rave all kinds of stuff in you for the purposes of terrifying you, and using things like verses from Romans 18 to try and say that you must obey, you must obey, you must obey. But if there's people carrying on saying you must obey, how many people are actually going to obey? Alright? Have you ever worked for a boss who was so obnoxious, offensive, and aggressive that you basically didn't want to work there anymore? Have you? I have. And you know what? I didn't work there anymore. I stopped. In one particular company, I actually turned around to the boss and said, shut up. Alright, I've bleeped that out deliberately because, there might be some young people in the studio audience who don't really want to hear like a whole string of rude words all being thrown together in one particular phrase. I mean, bloody hell. And I did that because I wanted to leave the company. Now, essentially, people are going to do that in religious environments. Okay, in places where people should be going to feel safe, to sort of like get better, repair themselves, to just be able to take a breather from life prior to getting back into the fray and dealing with the fact that they've got problems within their abusive relationships, they've got problems with their finances, and God knows what else, or maybe maybe a friend or a member of the family has committed suicide or has died on drugs or drink or something like that, and just trying to cope with that shit. It's wrong. It's wrong to make these places somewhere where people feel afraid, rather than somewhere where people can actually build an understanding which actually works for them. This is one of the things which I personally think is wrong with religion. And of course you got people like Nephilim Free, who are the sort of like literalist liars. When he was involved in his debates with Bossman 103, the YouTuber Bossman 103, This was incredible self-ownage, I think it's called, on the part of Nephilim 3, because he avoided the questions, alright, he misrepresented the arguments, and he out and out lied very objectively. Anyone who's got half a brain cell could see that Nephilim 3 was out and out lying. So from my point of view, it's actually quite hilarious that this guy, who's supposed to be this like aggressive proponent of fundamentalist, literalist Christianity, of a American quasi-Protestant tradition, was talking quite so much horse crap. It was funny to watch. I was just sitting there and I was going, because these obsessive people are doing more harm to themselves and to their own cause than they know. But the people who they're jeering up, those are the people who are already terrified and already paranoid. They're already in this kind of like almost New World Order conspiracy theorist type mentality of, oh yeah, please hit me again with more paranoia, and then I will continue to obey and do whatever the fuck you tell me to, and think whatever it is you tell me to do. It's completely insane. It's not doing anyone any good. It's being held in place by fear and not by understanding and growth and things which are much more human, alright? There's plenty of things in Islam, in Judaism, in Christianity, in paganism, in Buddhism, in different forms of Hinduisms which are out there, which essentially could be useful to people somehow. They just need to be found and they need to be teased out. And there's just no need to make people terrified. It doesn't do anyone any good. Alright? So, that's a brief overview of the kind of changes I want to see in the world. And maybe it's not much. I don't know whether I'm the right person to say this stuff or not. Obviously I'm on the fringes of society because I'm doing my fringe job. But on the other hand, who gives a shit? Basically, who cares? Alright? There's important stuff from the atheist school of thought, there's important stuff from the theist school of thought. And agnosticism, well, it's very hard to define precisely what that is. I mean, I wouldn't worry about that too much. I would merely focus on thinking about the benefits that the people can get from something and trying to create an environment in which there are some benefits there. But one of the problems of being on the internet is that, one of the problems and one of the benefits of being on the internet is anybody, absolutely anybody, could turn on a camera and can open their mouths and say something. Alright, anybody can. But that's also a problem, because people have issues and they bring their issues to the internet, and they can create more issues. I think if religion, politics, education actually sort of like got together with like psychology, psychiatry, philosophy, then essentially we could have a society that actually sort of like works an awful lot better. We've got to start somewhere.